Hello. So, like we went over yesterday, at the end of yesterday's special training, we went over basically the overarching view of how this Bluetooth is going to work, how we're going to use this. We went through all the code for the Arduino and the processing for this example that we're going to use just to get Bluetooth set up and see if we can actually get it running, because it's infinitely easier to just give you guys a practice thing just to get all the bugs out of the way with getting Bluetooth set up before you go and try to do anything on your own. And so that's basically why we're giving you so much specifically for this Bluetooth. Once we get it set up and running, you guys are going to be doing your own things, tweaking it, adding your own stuff. But really with Bluetooth, 99% of it is just getting the setup, which is just getting through all the bugs and stuff, just trying to get it to work once, and then you just change a few things. And it's a very powerful tool that you can use for a lot of different things. So hopefully yesterday, you're able to get your computer paired to the ESP32. Once again, you've probably unplugged it from power by now, so you're going to want to plug it back in and just make sure that it's still paired to your computer. And so once you've done that, we're going to want to go and try to test it out, see if it's working. So how do we want to do this? You guys should set up the circuit first before doing the COM ports. So actually, no. I added it that way for a reason. Before you set up the circuit with the ESP32 plugged in, we're going to want to try to make sure that the COM port is right. And so this COM port, these are like different ports that your computer does serial communication over. One of them, as you can see in the picture, COM5, that's like when I have the ESP32 plugged into my computer, that's like that serial connection from the computer to the microcontroller that is actually used when you're uploading code to the board. And so that's like the port you'll have selected like in your IDE that you've seen before. For Bluetooth, as you can see, at least on my computer, it's called standard serial over a Bluetooth link, and there's two of them. So that's one thing that's very common. Is just like it's kind of hard to tell which one is the right one, and you're gonna have to go into the processing code. And do you remember from yesterday how at the very top of the processing file there was that COM3? You might have to change that to a different one. On Windows, at least, you can go into your device manager and go navigate to ports, and you can see, like for me, I had this list. It shows that there's 3, 4, and 5 connected, and I know it's not 5 because that's the one used to upload to the microcontroller. So I just had to test, is it 3 or is it 4? And so basically to test this out, you're going to want to, once you have had the Bluetooth connection uploaded to your ESP32 and it's powered, you're going to want to launch that processing code. And what you should see is, let me see if I can switch the share screen. Here we go. What you should see is a moving box like this once the processing code is running. And so this earlier, if you remember from the code, I was talking about how there's a rectangle and there's an X variable and it like incremented, and then once it hits a certain point, it goes back to 0. That's what this box is. Basically, this is just used to see if the program's actually running. Because if we didn't have this box here, it would just be sitting here, and we would have no way to know if it silently crashed or anything. Because that's one thing that's very common with processing that I found, is that if it's on the wrong COM port, either you'll just get a gray screen and nothing will show up and it will just like crash and it's obvious that that wasn't the right port, or it will seem like it's working, but then when you try to input anything to the COM port, it will silently crash. And so if this box stops moving, that's how you basically can tell that the program has crashed and it was probably the wrong COM port. And so hopefully if you can get this box moving, it's very likely that everything's set up right and you're going to be good to go to move on to the circuit. And so from this point, let me go back to the slides here.
Nick, could you share the slides?
Oh, yeah. Let me. There you go. Okay. So once you've gotten your processing box moving, hopefully it's working based off that information. You've got the right COM port at that point. You're going to want to move on to set up the circuit. So this is the circuit you're going to want to set up. It's pretty simple. just a few wires, 2 LEDs and a button. We'll go over exactly what this is doing. Once we've got it set up and working, we'll break it down. But for now, just set this up and try to get it working. And so what it means to be working is it's basically going to, when you press, let me switch back to the other share screen. So when I press do W or S on my keyboard, it lights up. Let me see if I can hold this up to the, oh, I'm not gonna, that's not gonna reach at all. This blue LED though lights up whenever I press W and turns off whenever I press S. And so that's basically, we can take a keyboard input and put it into the microcontroller. That's what that's doing. And then whenever we push the button on the breadboard, as you can see on my screen, it goes on and turns off when I release the button. And so that's taking information from the ESP32 and sending it to the computer and displaying it there. And so if both of these two things are working, you've got your two-way Bluetooth set up and it's good to go. At that point, you can just change things around. You could do different buttons on your keyboard. You could do different things with your circuit and react in different ways depending on inputs on the breadboard side of things. But if you could get these two things going, your Bluetooth is like you're able to use the Bluetooth. And so we're going to go into breakout rooms now and just try to get this set up. There's probably going to be a lot of weird problems. And so be prepared. Please ask for help when you're trying to set this up, because there can just be a whole bunch of different weird things going on. And so, yeah, we're going to go into breakout rooms.